This is Beyond with Heather Tesch, where we examine near-death experiences and life itself, hopefully making this life a little better. Hello, everyone, and hello, Cara, Marlene. Thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, Heather.
We had just such a great conversation. You had a great story that you shared in part one. So for folks listening, you can still listen to these questions because this is going to be a great segment, but you may want to at some point go back and listen to part one. And that's where Cara shares her story. She also wrote a great book, and there's so much in this book that we couldn't cover. It's called Love's Miracles in the Misery. And we'll put a link to this in the description. We'll talk more about it later. But right now, I do want to get to some of the questions I have. Cara, you had a really interesting experience, near-death experience when you were 8 years old, which you shared in part one. And initially, you went into this blackness. Now, do you think that is what some people call the void, or was that something different to you?
Yes, I do. I believe there are lots of names for it, but yeah, I've heard it called the void because it felt very much like the space where life can be created. Right? It's kind of like it holds space for life, is what it felt like.
And I always find it interesting because some people find the void scary, and yet many people find it very comforting.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's as if fear could not exist there. It was as if like the minute that I realized like things transitioned in my near-death experience from almost like physical human form to there is like, it's as if there is this. I was still at the ranch in that space, but once I realized there was something outside of that, everything changed. It was like reality changed. I could see, feel, understand the reality behind what we call reality. Right. And so, I like the void. But yeah, no, fear could not exist there. Just could not.
And in fact, you also said that you felt one with everything.
Yeah.
So was that a knowing? Was that a feeling? Because it sounds wonderful, but it's still hard for many of us to grasp exactly what that means.
Yeah. So I would say knowing, for sure, because it's never left. It's never left me. It's like this, it's as true as me existing. It's as true as you being here. It's like, it is a truth that's beyond, denial. It's like beyond contestation. So it's a knowing, a truthful knowing is what it's definitely not a feeling. Cause like feelings can come and go, like the feelings of fear, my stories or whatnot. This is an absolute assurity.
And you also said it was not just light, but it was life itself.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Describe that.
Okay. So the only way I can figure it out is almost like, so the in that space, it's like, as I was lying down and feeling the vastness of that space, because there was almost like a container of just space, black space, right? And then everything pouring in from that rectangle was possibility, life, joy. And it wasn't like it was void of possibility. There was no fear, right? It was just, it's as if, I was in where all existence starts, and there's not like that, and it's nothing but love. And so in that space where love is, like love exists, like love is in the very beginning parts of life itself. It's as if I experienced the beginning of everything and the possibilities that were in front of me, because they were endless and they were all pouring in and held by love. It was so, and I know I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it, but it's almost like I can't explain where all of this comes from, where all of this, starts and then ends. Like, it's not just like it starts in like love and life and things. We go back to endless possibilities where love is the beginning and the end of all things. And so that's why I don't fear death. I'm hoping I'm explaining that well enough.
Well, and that's a problem with folks that have had near-death experiences is so much of it can't be explained because we can't really understand it in our language and I guess probably our mindset that we have.
Mm.
Now, you also said what I found was interesting was that when you were traveling, to this love and wonderful place, you also passed through a realm where you said fear was possible. And I was curious, like, where was that place?
So when I went through my near-death experience and I understood where I was and like the transition, it was almost like three parts. Like, yes, I knew I was in trouble, but then I knew there was a entity there, shifted into, oh my gosh, like I'm not actually I'm not in the reality I thought that I was on the ranch. I am now in this space where like love exists. And then it transitioned into, okay, are we ready to just figure out where we're going to go and what's going to happen? Like, yeah, absolutely. And so, when I realized this is what happens when death happens. And when I, spoke to that presence and it asked, are you ready? It's when I accepted that, when I said yes, there's this space in me that still exists. It's that oneness. It's that connection with that understanding, that knowing of the love and the peace and the joy that comes, and the hereafter, but we can have now, because that's what I think the disconnect is, right? Like we don't understand that peace and joy and love can exist both here and after we die. Right. And so I have that ability to connect into that because that comes from a knowing. So basically I was in that space falling into that knowing and that understanding, that dwelling place. And I believe when I crossed into my body again with that understanding, the knowing, the experience, the possibility of fear could then exist. Because outside of that, it just can't. There was no possibility. So in this life, there's fear, right? Because there's elements where, like our existence here on this earth can no longer be, like death, right? And so, I believe, or being hurt or whatnot. So the emotions that kind of, or the threat of this existence without knowing the understanding of, the peace thereafter, I think certain fear kind of can exist. Hope that explains it too.
It does. But again, it is all these concepts that people bring back are something that are hard to sometimes understand. We have to kind of rethink about them over and over. But with each story, everything becomes a little more
pieces,
clear.
right? It's almost like pieces.
Yes. It's like puzzle pieces. And I always say that with each story, we gain a few more of the puzzle pieces.
Oh, same.
Yeah. Now, something else you said, which I found interesting, is you said you were where life and death, light and dark begin and end, and love held it all together.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you and so many others, you speak so eloquently, and that again sounds so amazing. But is there a way to kind of break that down a little more for us to understand?
I have a very different way of seeing like life, I think. Not just from my near-death experience, but my experiences afterwards, right? And so, I come from a perspective where I'm not like here, I'm like zoomed out, right? And so if we zoom out, in my personal opinion, and we look where everything has started, like I'm talking from the universe before we were here and the universe after, whatever happened. I feel as though I was zoomed out to the beginning of beginnings, or the beginning of beginnings. And I got to see and experience what it was like before love made this. And when I mean this, I mean all life, because we are in a universe that happened and it's expanding constantly. Like we are in galaxies of galaxies of galaxies. Obviously, we know this from science, but it's as if I got to see what was before everything was created. And I feel so grateful because I had this epiphany once, and whether you believe that there is life outside of this planet or not, the reality of it is right now, we are but a grain of sand, like one grain of sand painted blue dropped into the middle, like of any shore of any beach anywhere on this earth. And we are the one planet where life exists in complicated, complex, yet delicate form. And it is if, to me, that in the galaxies of galaxies, that one grain of sand, it is as if in that moment, like love poured all of itself into this one grain of sand, which is us, to create life, to know love itself, and then to love itself in return. I believe that I am able to see and experience and understand that, knowing that I got to see what it looked like, where there was a void and there was light and there was endless possibilities, and love chose, which moves me so much, of all of the possibilities that love chose to put love and light, like life, onto one planet, and to make it so complex and yet so delicate that love, that it's undeniable that it was created. And however you want to believe in creation or not, I believe that love created it to prove over and over and over again that love exists beyond all contestation, and it created us to love and be loved ourselves. And that's just an undeniable truth for me. That's a knowing that I cannot, and I wish everyone knew that. I wish they knew how much love did for us and reminded for us, because we're so caught up in the distractions of the way this world is structured. But if we got back to it, to the very beginning, that it is just to love and be loved, and to bring that love and light here. I know that's a very long segue, but I believe that I saw what existed before love created life.
Many people that have near-death experiences say they feel that it was if they were the only one that God or love loved. And so they felt like they were the only one, even though they knew there were others.
Yeah.
So could it be that there's life on other planets, on these other grains of sands, that are also loved, but we should just relish in the fact that we focus on us and how we are loved?
Yes. My gosh. Yes. Because what's that's the whole point, right? Yeah, for sure. That's very well said.
You miraculously healed from cancer. And there's someone out there right now that desperately wants that. Do you have advice for them?
I believe all the answers that we need are inside, and love is always present and always listening. And what I did was I went inside and I trusted that connection with the divine, and I knew whatever it said I would do. And so all I can say is that love has every answer, and it's inside of you. And no matter what path you choose, this was a very specific path, right? especially with a family history and things, no matter where you are in your path, even if like you've taken treatments, you've gotten all these things, I believe, because I know other people have been healed, not just like miraculously, like they've gotten through like natural treatments and things like that. No matter what it is, I would encourage everyone to just listen to themselves and to know that those answers are out there, and to trust and believe that, and know that, the answers lie inside, and you'll be guided to what's best, like your path, in this life. And, know that my heart goes out to you, and I am so grateful that you are here and that we, are in this together.
In fact, you said that miracles are for those who believe in miracles.
Yes. The thing about my story that I haven't really heard a lot from other people's stories is that the acceptance part, like I didn't really realize the whole acceptance part. And, that really, I think that kind of stands out a lot, the faith and the belief and the trust. Because if you don't have that, it just does, you know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't, doesn't work. Cause I had trust and faith in the divine, and no matter what happened. Cause I mean, I was fine with, no longer being here, no matter what course that ran. I was okay with it. But again, the power of love can conquer anything. And energy healing is real. It is completely and totally something that's on the table. It's just whatever your path is. Cause it looks different, cause it was personal, right? It was so personal that it reignited my faith. Like that's really where it came in. And like I trusted, but I mean, I believe this is in everyone. This is for everyone. Isn't just for gatekeeping people who are like in churches that like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is literally like our gift. Like we heal on a regular basis. I believe that we can step in and encourage that, and to, I hate that word claim, but to exercise that. Because I mean, it happened. And so if it happened for me and other people, I believe it can happen for, many others.
And of course, this happened in your early 30s, but going back to your near-death experience when you were 8, you of course got a taste of what is to come after this life.
Yes.
But it was just a short amount of time. So what do you envision that it will be like when we fully and actually die?
I love that question because it's a question no one really asks. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I think of all of the time. And I believe if we are able, we are part of what keeps this entire universe together. I believe love at the very essence is in everything. It holds everything together. There's no, how delicate and how complex this world is. It doesn't make sense that it's not. And I've studied, the quantum physics realm and whatnot. And if you've never read about quarks, like they're like the most fascinating things, because there were scientists that studied them. And eventually like these scientists got to the point where they basically said, I think it was in Swedish or something like that. They're like, there's a point where science ends and spirituality begins, and we have no explanation. And so, I believe that we are made from the essence of love, and that power can heal, it can create, it can transform, it can transmute. Why in this life am I able to create any reality, to manifest anything I truly want? Why would it not be something that I am able to do, not just in the next, but right now? I'm like, okay, yeah, like I would love to be in a place where I have this space where every animal I've ever had that I've loved is there. Like, why would I not want to be able to fly? Or why would I not enter another world, let's say, where there is another Earth and we have all of our family members, and life is fantastic, and we are in what they would maybe call like an Earth-like heaven, and things are, we do live in unity. We don't have the distractions. You know what I'm saying? Like or maybe I ride around in a unicorn and I shoot people with rainbows. Like, I don't know. Like what, like I just believe that there are endless possibilities, like just like that space where life and light exist. Like, I just believe that if we had that power now, why in the world would I not have it in the next? It just doesn't make sense the way that this world works. It just doesn't. And from my experience, my near-death experience and my healings and things, I truly believe we have way more power than we are ever taught or even can comprehend right now. But I think that we're starting to. So I really appreciate that, because I believe that. I, without a shadow of a doubt, believe that we are able to create in the next life just as much.
Well, of course, you're one of the messengers kind of spreading that message. And we just know that it's going to be even more amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Than anything here.
Mm.
So society is pretty messed up at times. Yes. And I think we've all experienced that. Yet I was intrigued in your book because you said that you have a lot of hope for mankind.
I do.
And why is that? Is that a knowing that you came back with from your near-death experience or your other experiences, or why do you feel this way?
Yes, I do. When I was a child and I came back from a near-death experience, it's as if I was transformed by love. Like I could see it in all things. I wanted to be one with everyone. I wanted to share that, commune with them, be one with them, even animals in nature. It's hard. I can't separate the two, like even now to this day. Right. And I see, even in my near-death experience and as enlightened and awakened as I was, I still had this journey as a human being, right? But I see so much of myself in my transition as enlightened and as consciously evolved as I am. I see so much of myself in where we are as a society, because like the society is where people were or are, right? And so like I believe that we are in the most amazing time, because I believe there's so much possibility for change, because change is needed when it's needed most, right? And so it's like, it comes when it's needed most. And I know that they can talk about like the generations and like where we are and how confused people are and how different things are. I just feel as though this is the opportunity to look at things from a perspective, like a higher perspective, and say, okay, yeah, like this is where we were as generations before. This is where we are now. And this is why. So for example, like we had generations before us that did not raise us gently. Like we have reasons for where we are as generations we are now. Right. And, it's just like a pendulum swing. We started here. And then we're swinging all the way over. We want to kind of stay in this, like, this healthy kind of stage. Now it takes the pendulum swing, right? And we're kind of on a pendulum swing. So we have the opportunity, I believe, with as much as we have grown as a human race. So like, in the 40 years, almost 40 years that I've existed, we've gone from 8-track tapes to, AI, right? And so in that, we as human beings have to consciously evolve. Like that just happens, right? And from that comes the confusion and the conflict and the division, right? But we also are learning at an exponential rate. And so from that learning, we have opportunities to grow and evolve and come together and fix what has been broken. And I believe we are the generation. We are I don't care how old you are. We as the human beings right now have the opportunity to do such change, because never has there ever been an opportunity for mass change like this, like through YouTube or like the podcast. Like you're just saying, like, we can, as we evolve individually, as we get more grounded on, okay, like, where's the state of the planet in? Where are we in politics? Like, can we change the way this world is run? Can we get together and actually clean up the, what we see out there? Can we end hunger? Can we stop human trafficking? Can we do all these things? Absolutely. I believe that we can, because we've never had the opportunity to do so, but we've also never had the turmoil and the conflict. And I believe that, I can't remember who said it, and it changed my life. It said, it was Kerwin Ray or something like that. He said, when we are frustrated or confused, when we're trying to learn something, that's actually a sign that we're about to get it, right? And so if we kind of see ourselves as a human race right now, as a society, like we're kind of at a fever pitch, right? Like things could be better, but like, I feel like there could be a conscious shift, that can happen very quickly to remedy, not just to remedy things that were not working, but also like change the future for like ever. So if we use, I know a lot of people are scared of AI. If we use AI in a really great way for learning and changing the way that we, school systems or, how we do politics or things like that, that's really encouraging, right? Like there's changes that come with that, but it's also really exciting. Or like people getting together on a mass scale to clean up oceans or like try to figure out like how to, do better in global warming. I could go on and I won't. I apologize for timing. I just believe that from what I've seen personally, where I've struggled, because I've been on the pendulum swing, I've been where we have massively, because that's just where I can't see something in another person that I have not gone through or will go through, right? I want to be more consciously evolved. So I look for that, but I also see where people have things they could change to better their life. So I cannot deny where people were, because I've been there, because I've evolved through it. But I also can see where we want to be as a society. I'm droning, I promise. I just feel like we are in this beautiful place where we can change. We just to keep learning and coming together as one and really believing that we can do it.
Well, I actually really love that. I found it very encouraging because so many times we hear the opposite. And so it is nice to get that encouragement that we can be headed to good things.
Mm.
I found your book to be very inspiring. And I love that people like you share your stories in books and also here on my podcasts and things like that. Why did you write the story?
Well, thank you for asking that. That's a very kind question. I found as I was sharing my story, specifically like my healing, I felt as if there was a disconnect between me and everyone else. It's as if they put me in a position where my story was not relatable to them because they had never had a healing. It was kind of like they had this, I don't like the guru complex kind of comment, but it really kind of felt like that. Like it was special or it was set apart or it was what people call holy. That's my cat's name. But I don't relate to that because I don't see myself as being different than anyone else. I don't see these abilities, these experiences as being something that everyone doesn't have the ability or a possibility to have from I hope no one has a near-death experience. I really don't. Like this, there's stuff you have to kind of work through. But if you can get enlightenment, like I got from a near-death experience, or like premonitions, or the healing, or the favor that kind of comes, that I share in the book, I believe everyone has this ability. And so I wanted to share the miracles and the misery because we all are one. Like we're all going through this together. Like, it's almost like I call it Disneyfied, like Disneyified, like what miracles are, what magic is in this life. Like us waking up and having those moments, like it's raining right now. I've got a fire going. My cat was just in my lap. Like I'm speaking to you, sharing my story. Like these moments are magical to me. Like I feel so grateful to be alive, that the awe and wonder of life is sparked, right? And these moments are no less miraculous than me being healed of third generation genetic breast cancer. Like there is no difference. And I also want people to understand that like I'm just as human as they are, and we are in this together. Like this is a possibility for every single person. So whether you are struggling with what I like, how mean people are and how sad they are and the things that they do to you in your innocence and your youth. And if you're struggling to get through that, I hear you. Like if you are going through cancer, not just breast cancer, because I had a brain tumor, I had appendix cancer, I had all these things, and they were miraculously found and healed. Like, I hear you, I see you. Like, I know the terror that comes with it and the desperation and the anxiety, but I also know what can happen, the possibilities that are there. So please keep going. And those people who are maybe not understanding their gifts, like, if you do have premonitions, if you are a medium, if you do hear things, like, yeah, it's shocking, but it's also something to lean into, because I believe that I needed these things at these times. Like I needed a near-death experience to shake me out of where I was as a kid and to give me the ability to be enlightened and to have this life and journey to share it. I do believe that. But I also believe these premonitions were things to remind me of love and our love story with me. Like to get me through those times when I was a kid and I needed something real. I needed something tangible, even though it was death that I was facing, that I was like, but death became a sweet solace to me. Like I don't fear it, right? Like these are beautiful lessons, but they're also very emotionally and like sometimes miserable. They were miserable or terrifying and frightening, but I believe the miracles and magic, are one in this life. And that's what we get, like in the beautiful gift that we get, like we can overcome that and then see on a regular basis is how miraculous we are, how magical we are in this life, and to lean more into love and to love ourselves more. Cause I believe that I believe self-love is the key. Like if world peace could happen, it would be from self-love, because I mean, we would feed the poor. We wouldn't rot the planet. We wouldn't start wars. Like if we really did love ourselves and know what I know and what others like you and everyone else that is in this work, if we really knew what love was and were able to see those moments in life, I believe it would change things. So I was hoping that would be something that people would get from my story.
And I think self-love is something that is very hard for a lot of people to get to that spot. One of the things I wanted to say too, because you were saying all that, and your book is very relatable because you got to this, you achieved this, but you had a very difficult childhood. We couldn't get into all of that. You had some very difficult experiences as a young adult. So you are very relatable to people that are going through numerous challenges in life. If people want to find your book and if they want to learn more about you, where should they go?
Thank you for asking. So you can find my book, my podcast, everything like that on my website. It's karamarlene.com. You can go on Amazon directly and get it. It's called Love's Miracles and the Misery. And I also have an email. It's info@karamarlene.com if you ever need to reach out. I also have a group that meets once or twice a month. We talk about near-death experiences. We share miraculous stories, but we also do like journal prompts, and these are like self-love techniques that I encourage people to do. I have self-confidence sessions where I am kind of like a spiritual life coach, if like you could kind of call it that, but I call it a spiritual confidant because we're just a friend on the journey. We're just walking through. So you can find those there too. But those are the one-on-ones and the group. But you can find all of that on my website.
And you also have a podcast.
Oh, I do. It's called the CarCast. Yes. I'm launching that as well. That's to inspire hope and remind people of the awe and wonder and of everyday life, and just to kind of keep going because we're all in this together. So yeah, you can find that there too.
And I think you have inspired hope. Do you have any final parting words for people that are listening?
I am so glad you're here. I am so, like I said, I know that people can say what they want about like where we are as humans, but I am just so glad you're here because you're just so special. And I do hope that you really understand that. And maybe I encourage you to today to maybe take some time to just sit and I don't like the word meditate, but just sit in stillness and just maybe ask that part of you that you may not know that is one with love, but just ask that to be shown to you, to come closer to that, to your real self. Because I believe that whether you are at the top of your life where everything is going well and everything is wonderful, I am so grateful for you. Keep going. Well done. But if you are struggling with things, and you just need a moment, just take it, and just keep going. Do that every day. And I believe, I believe that can make a difference. And that sitting in stillness, that asking that part of yourself to be revealed to you, to have the ears to hear, the eyes to see, the heart and mind to understand how truly magical you are. I think, I'd like to encourage you to do that because I see it, I know it, but I want you to see it and know it too. So
thank you, Cara. That is a beautiful message to send out to everybody who is listening and watching. And for those of you that are listening and you are watching, we would love to hear your comments. So please share your thoughts in the comment section. If you like this, it really helps out if you give it a like. So we would love that as well. And, tell your friends about this podcast, share it with people. All of those things are really helpful. And Cara, again, thank you so much for being here. I have learned so much, and I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed this.
Oh my gosh, Heather, I believe we were meant to meet, and I love your soul and your heart. And thank you so much for doing this, giving us a platform to share our stories. One, because it's so wonderful just to be able to say it, but also I just believe it's helping so many people. So thank you for doing that. That's just what a wonderful purpose that you have your living.
Well, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for people like you sharing your story. And I do think that you are changing the world. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, dear.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me on Beyond with Heather Tesch. Please add comments and questions you'd like future guests to answer. Also, if you liked what you heard, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. That'll help keep this podcast going. You can also go to Beyond with Heather Tesch to look for more episodes.